Guys, my name is Carlos Moreno. I am a former amateur boxer. I was Portuguese champion. I boxed internationally around the world. I boxed in America, Spain, Sweden, Portugal, obviously here in the UK, other places I can't remember. I won about 3 or 4 international gold medals in international competitions. And I was ranked top 10 in England as well. And obviously Portuguese champion. So yeah, Carlos Moreno, I was a former boxer. Now I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. We are in my fantastic gym, as you guys seen through the lovely footage. I have a gym here in London, in Dalston, and we teach classes, yeah. That's me, just a dude, just a guy. So my background, so in terms of like my story, I was born in Portugal, and my parents are actually from Cape Verde. So Cape Verde is an island off the West African coast. And I actually, funny enough, I did a DNA test and I found out I'm 85% Senegalese. There you go, only 10% Portuguese, 5% mixed Spanish and Jewish and North African. And so my parents migrated from Cape Verde. They went to mainland Africa. They went to Angola. From Angola, they went to Portugal, where I was born. And I stayed in Portugal till I was around 7 years old. Then my parents decided I could maybe get a better education to come here, be closer with my brother, who was already here, my 2 brothers. So I came to stay with my 2 brothers. And I liked it so much that I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm actually going to stay. And been here ever since. Studied here, went to uni here. I didn't actually finish uni or anything, but yeah, pretty much grew up here. So how I started boxing was I basically was always fascinated by kung fu movies, right? And like Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Sammo Long, there was Jet Li, there was just like so many of these great kung fu masters, Drunken Master, Enter the Dragon, Game of Death. These were all things that I was watching probably at a very young age. I shouldn't have been watching, but I was just fascinated with this thing of fighting and having the body being in such peak physical condition that it stayed with me from very young. And then when I became a teenager, I kept asking my brother, I want to do karate, I want to do something, because I was drawn to sport. I was doing a lot of football, basketball, but one thing I hadn't tried was the martial arts. I hadn't tried some sort of fighting thing. And I got to a point when I was probably like 16, 17, I think it was my sister that noticed I was probably hanging out on the streets a bit too much and maybe not with the right group of kids, getting into a bit of trouble. And then she offered to pay for me to go and train at a gym in North London, which I went to. I trained there for a bit and then I liked it. Yeah, from there I was like, wow, this is amazing. I remember just like having these images in my head of like, one day I'm gonna win a title, one day I'm gonna win a belt, one day I'm gonna do something amazing with this. So it just stuck, yeah, from there, just stuck. I just got so fascinated by the art of it, yeah. So yeah, I mean, my sister paid for a month for me to go. And then after that month ran out, I was a bit like, yo, are you gonna like pay for another month? And she was like, not really. And I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna stop boxing? My sister doesn't want to pay for me to go. My brother doesn't want to pay for me to go. So it was very difficult for me to kind of like convince someone in my family that I'm gonna take it seriously, that I actually want to do this. So I think somehow, I have this sort of charming personality ever since I've been young. and I seemed to somehow get my way with things. And the owner of the boxing club at the time was basically just like, you know, you train really hard, we love having you here, you've got good energy, you're very polite, you don't have to pay. And when I heard that, I was like, what? It just came out of nowhere. I didn't even ask. They were just like, oh, you know, from next month you don't have to pay no more. And so I reckon they really just wanted me to be there, and they probably saw that it was good for me. But in terms of support from my family, I've had over like 40 fights. No one in my family's ever watched me fight live. So I guess that says the whole story. You know, I had to be very self-motivated, and I had to do it all off my own back. I didn't really have support, no, if I'm going to be honest, you know. So my first fight, what should I tell you about my first fight? It was absolute chaos. It was just in my head. It was incredible actually. It was I'd done all the training. I was ready to fight. I was excited, but very scared, very, very scared. I remember being in the changing room, and it was taking a long time before it was my turn to fight. I'd already warmed up. I was like pretty, and sitting there, just kind of like thinking, excited and thinking, yeah, I'm gonna get my first fight, etc. It was in this pub in Tufnell Park in North London, and I remember seeing a guy warming up, like massive guy, heavyweight at least. He was warming up, and when someone asked him what number fight are you on, he said something like number 6 or something, and I thought, hold on, I'm fighting number 6. Like, what's going on? Are they gonna put me my first fight to fight this big guy? This is unbelievable. So I just remember sitting down and saying to myself, he's a heavyweight, I'm lightweight. How is this, like, what have I signed up to do to myself? So I said, do you know what? I'm a warrior. I have to be ready. If I have to fight a heavyweight, I have to fight a heavyweight. So I meditated, and I was like, how am I going to beat this guy? He's got muscle everywhere. Everywhere he has muscle. Everywhere I look, there is muscle. There is muscle there. It's not possible. How am I going to win this fight? So I went into this very deep contemplation, you know, thinking, I have to fight this big guy. And my coach came by, and I said, Coach, I was very nervous, you know, my throat was a little bit dry. And I was like, Coach, am I fighting this guy? And the coach looked and he went, no, you crazy. You're not fighting this guy. Have you seen the size of him? And I was like, whoo! I was like, you know what, coach? It's just because, you know, I was happy then. I was like, it's just because he said he's number 6. And he was like, yeah, no, he made a mistake. He made a mistake. You're fighting someone else. So apparently, the guy that I was fighting, he had a few fights before. It was my first fight. He had a few fights, shorter than me. He knocked out some guys before or something like that. Apparently, he was hitting the pads, and we could hear him. Like, the coach was like, yeah, that's good. That will knock him out. And then I was just kind of like, yeah, I think there's going to be a different Cinderella story today. But I just remember the bell going ding, 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 and I just went blank. I remember just throwing every punch with maximum intensity and just jab, jab, bang, jab, jab, bang. I think after hitting him 3 times, I think I broke his nose. There was like blood everywhere, and I've never seen that much blood. I was just like, this is boxing? Wow, this is crazy. And yeah, just hit, and then yeah, just the fight finished very like quickly, and then the coach was like, wow, like that was actually very impressive. For your first fight, you did really well. So I actually was pretty easy my first fight. So it's like, okay, what I can say is it is very common for athletes to leave the sport of boxing, or any sport really, and not only have financial problems, but also you have to imagine, if you've been doing something for years and years, every day the same thing, there's like this void that, you know, there's this hole in your heart that's like, wow, like I don't have this thing anymore. I think the big issue with being an athlete, and even though I've only just done amateur, elite level, etc., I did have a lot of amazing opportunities to turn pro, which I turned down. So I had opportunities that I'm not going to mention, but I have had big promoters that I could have worked with that I basically was like, I had to consider in the long run, what did I truly want to do for myself? And looking at the examples that I saw of boxers that were having a tough time, maybe having to sell tickets for their fights and things like this, it's not always what people think. It's like a two-edged sword, because if you succeed and do really, really well, it becomes addictive. You become very addicted to the lights, the fame, the fortune, the popularity. It's like a drug. And then when someone takes that drug away from you, and maybe you're too old now, or maybe you have an injury that you can't do it anymore, or maybe there's a problem with your brain scan and the doctor said you can't fight no more, or maybe some people end up really badly hurt and they have to stop the sport. So you have to question, when you've given your life and everything to it, how do you stop? The first thing is, I think, to recognize that whatever money that you're making, in whatever you do, really, you don't assume that you're always going to be making that money forever. Even me having my business, I don't assume that I'm always going to have my business. You always have to prepare for changes, and life is, full of change all the time. And that's what a lot of people have a problem with when they stop boxing professionally, and why they go broke is simple. Is because they're trying to maintain a lifestyle that was suitable for when they were getting the big checks when they were fighting. But as soon as you stop getting the big checks, you're not going to be able to sustain that lifestyle. So you're just going broke trying to keep up appearances, because maybe you don't want people to say, oh, look at Carlos, he was flying private jet, now he's on EasyJet. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, look at Carlos, he had the chauffeur driving him in the Bentley, now he's taking the bus. Because it's an image problem that we have. So truly, if you're in that situation, you have to ask yourself, did you really, because there's the sport of boxing and then there's the martial arts of boxing. Me personally, I like to distinguish the two, because the martial arts of boxing teaches you to be a better person, teaches you to look in yourself, to find the warrior in yourself. And the warrior in yourself shouldn't be determined or attached to material things, truly. But if you're just here for the glamour and this and that, then you have to take a look at your life. That are you placing your value on? So first and foremost, that's my advice. My advice is, whatever you do, don't assume that you're always gonna get these checks forever. Yeah, and B, do things for yourself. Put value in who you are. Don't put value in material things. And the third thing, if I'm gonna give proper like actionable advice, is when you're getting those big checks, take at least 10% of those big checks. Yeah, take 10%, and I'm talking 10%. As soon as you get the check, pay your tax. Yeah, because a lot of fighters, they get caught out not paying their tax. So when the taxman catches them and they have to pay the big bill, they get in big trouble. So pay your tax, very important. After you've paid, and make sure you've got good accountants. Pay your tax. After you paid your tax, take 10% of your money, put it away, lock it somewhere. It doesn't exist no more. Take 10%. Take another 10%. So you paid, let's say you paid 10, 20% tax, another 10% savings. Take another 10% and buy assets. Buy something. Put down a down payment on a house. Buy some stocks and shares. Buy some cryptocurrency. I'm not again, listen, this video, I'm not a financial planner, and I'm not giving advice. You should always seek advice from financial planner. Don't just do what I'm telling you, but I think that's a proven method to diversify your portfolio and to make smart investments. And then you're not going to be crying about it, because you will always have money coming in. If you buy a house, 2, 3, 4 houses, when you retire from boxing, someone's going to be paying rent in those houses. You have money coming in. If you buy assets like stocks and shares and you have ownership in certain businesses or even private businesses, as those businesses are doing well and growing with the economy, you're getting paid dividends, or you've got assets in the form of stocks that you can sell later on. If you have some sort of form of digital currency and our system happens to go that way, and the fiat system goes towards the digitization, you're not going to get left behind. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. Just wake up. Wake up. How I would describe my boxing style and the inspiration that I take from certain boxers. People say, ask me, what is your favorite boxer? Let me answer that first. I always tend to say I don't really have a favorite because I learned from everyone. So, I took a little bit from every fighter to kind of like, I just learned because I was new. Now I might be able to say, yeah, I won some trophies and whatnot. But when I started, I was just like everyone else. I didn't know anything about boxing. So it just goes to show anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. It doesn't matter what position you're in now. I was once that skinny kid going into the gym. I couldn't do push-ups. I couldn't do anything. And I had to take inspiration from fighters, like Tyson, Ali, even Tyson Fury that we've got now, James DeGale, George Groves, Floyd Mayweather, of course. But if you're talking to me about a fighter that I take inspiration from, not just as a fighter, because if you're talking about the art of boxing, you can learn from everyone. But if you're talking about character, personality, skill, and being a good showman, I have to say Muhammad Ali. I have to say Muhammad Ali because he was, if you're going to look at the fighter that's had the biggest impact on society or in the world, yeah, regardless of weight division and achievements, it has to be Ali. And on top of that, not only did he have a massive impact in the way that we perceive going to war, for example, and geopolitical situations and how athletes have a responsibility of how they depict themselves around those issues, being the first black male athlete to say, I'm not going to do what the system's telling me to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. It's a powerful thing. So it's, he losing his license, not being able to earn money, legit, money, not being able to do, when you take a man's way of living, when you take a man's passion away from them, it's complicated, it's difficult, because if it's something you've been doing for all your life and then all of a sudden you get told, we're going to take your license away from you and you can never do this again. But yet he maintained faith and he kept persevering. He kept working hard. And eventually he got to a point where he managed to start boxing again. That's a big thing. So that, to me, that is someone I can look up to and say, yeah, that's my favorite, not just boxer, but one of my kind of favorite all-round human beings, Muhammad Ali. Okay, fundamentally, originally, the message was when I first opened the boxing gym, we started in the parks. We started teaching in the parks, no gym, nothing. And then eventually, slowly, more people came. We moved to a church hall. When we moved to a church hall, from the church hall, we went to a sports center in a university sports center. It was just a hall. We were hiring it out, and then we were doing classes, etc. So we've had a long journey. We have had a long journey, and the aim has changed throughout. But obviously, like just any other business, your aim is always to do better, to provide a better service, to be able to turn more of a profit in the business, and to be able to invest back into the business so that you're rewarding the customers for coming and for trusting and building that relationship. We're at a point now where we were able to move to a nice gym. We've got another gym in Highgate as well. The main thing right now, the focus is on the customer and the customer experience. So recently, as you guys know, there's been a lot of issues around, in society around the cost of living crisis and issues like that. We've had rising bill costs and things like that. We had to increase our prices. But we're not one of those businesses that says, okay, we're just going to increase our prices for the customers because we want more money. We're more like, okay, where can we give back? Can we buy better equipment? Can we put on some different type of classes? Can we put on an event? Can we just build a nicer atmosphere with the customers, like with the trainers? And obviously we've got different tiers in the business as well. So we've got the trainers on the ground, constantly giving feedback, working with the customers, making sure people are getting good classes, making sure people are getting fitter, stronger, healthier. So they're doing an excellent job working with the customers during the classes. Our classes are busy. We're very happy with that. Then you've got kind of like the business side of it, which is where I come in mostly. And my side of it is to protect what we have. First of all, it's about protecting, what we have. And second, it's about improvement, even if it's just incremental gains, like you can't go from being an amateur to being a pro overnight. In the same way that in the business, you cannot hope to be the best and number one straight away. It takes progress and it takes time. It takes listening to the customers. So that's why one of our main key focuses, listening to the customer, listening to the feedback, trying to work with the customers, trying to build relationships with the customers, and ensuring that we do our main job, which is run amazing classes that people can enjoy. In terms of, if you're asking me about long-term vision, which potentially you would want to know about as well, I'm not in a rush. We're not in a rush. Because when we consider the journey that we've already had just to get here, it's been a challenge. And it's very tempting to be wanting to rush and to look at other gyms and other businesses and say, oh, but they're opening more branches. They're opening more gyms here and there. First of all, I'm the type that likes to do a lot of competitive analysis, and I do a lot of research. So I know that a lot of these businesses that are opening, there's a lot of debt on your balance sheet. So that can prove problematic if you're taking on debt to keep expanding. And then if something happens, like for example, like a lockdown situation where you cannot run the gym, things can go wrong. There are a couple of businesses, big businesses that are in the fitness industry that I suspect they've been bought out because the ownership is different and the directorship listed on the company is different. So I do pay attention to things like that. I'm not one of those people that is greedy and is just thinking, I just want to make more money, I just want to open more gyms. That's not the purpose. The purpose is I'm passionate about boxing. I love boxing. You guys see me here training today. I'm throwing punches just like I was throwing them 2 years ago. I'm shadow boxing and moving just like I was moving 2-3 years ago. I'm hitting the pads just like I was hitting 2-3 years ago. So lockdown ain't slowed me down. I'm still here, right? Some of you guys out there throwing punches, looking a bit rusty, running your business, getting a bit pudgy, and eating good now. You don't want to train. I'm still out here. I'm on the ground. I got my helmet, I got my shield and my sword. We're on the ground. We're doing it. So it's about staying passionate. Moreno Boxing, the main purpose is to inspire. We only have one goal. That's it, to inspire. However we do that doesn't matter as long as we do it. To inspire people to live a better life, to inspire people to stay fitter, to inspire people to look after their health, to inspire people to understand you can literally live a good life. You can achieve what you want. You're the director writing the own script of your life. And when you understand that, is a powerful understanding to have. And we encourage people to have that, because when they say, I can't do 10 push-ups, we say, not only are you going to do 10, you give me extra 3. You're going to do 13. And when they do it, they say, wow, I didn't know I could do the 13. I thought 10 was my limit. But we're here to show you that is not your limit. We're here to show you that when you've done 3-round sparring and you're breathing heavy and you're hot and you say, coach, I'm finished, I can't do no more. We say, no, you're going to fight one more round. And when you give us that trust and you fight one more round, you discover something new about yourself, right? So when you leave here thinking, wow, those sit-ups are difficult, but I did it. That workout was difficult. We are inspiring you and waking you up to teach you that you have more within you than you really realize. And in turn, you reward us by allowing us to do what we love to do. I love boxing, so it's only thanks to my customers that my trainers are able to come here and do what they love. They love doing what they do. I love doing what I do. So is because of the customers and because of the relationship and the ecosystem that everyone's happy.